Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for a conversation with one of Milwaukee's extraordinary interdisciplinary artists, activists, educators, and co-founder of Luna, Katie Avila Loughmiller. I'm Jenny Toutant, the Interim Chief Engagement and Education Officer. Katie, can you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about Luna?
Yeah, sure. So Luna is a Latinx artist collective. Luna stands for Latinas Unidas and Las Artes. And we have been an art collective technically since 2017, but have been out in the world since 2018 when we had our first public group exhibition. And so, yeah, I think we're about 35, 40 artists, all Latinx, and we come together to a normal year, have group exhibitions. We did a lot of community engagement. What we did do before the pandemic was we were commissioned to do a mural in the courthouse. So that was a collaborative project that we did as well. So yes, things like that. And we're just here to support each artist and help each other grow as artists in the city.
That's so great. I've always been impressed by your ability to juggle so many roles, all of which seem to have a passion for, that you have a major passion for, or that align to your core values of who you are. Can you tell us about the many different hats that you are wearing right now?
Yeah, I feel like it's a lot. So I kind of always have called myself an artist and educator. Education is definitely a big part of my passion. I worked with Milwaukee Rep in the education department a bunch, and currently right now I am an adjunct professor at UWM in the theater department, and I'm also actually this semester just started teaching at MyAd, which has been really fun as well to start teaching there, although a very different journey to teach solely online, but it's been a fun adventure. In addition to being an artist and organizing with Luna, I'm also part of another collective called Heard Space, which is a performing arts collective, and that is really collaborative group, but a founding member of that. I have a radio show, and most recently I am a co-facilitator of something called Milwaukee Action Intersection. It was sort of our response to everything happening post the murder of George Floyd. The kind of group of us that came together knew that marching every day wasn't sustainable for us, and we actually wanted to be supportive of the protesters going out every single day, and also think about the long-term sustainability of making sure that racial equity is something that we can eventually achieve.
I'm also equally impressed just with how so much of your work always feels like it's uplifting the work of others, right? And that you're showcasing and highlighting and giving voice to people in a way that's just really dynamic and impressive. You've also been able to center community in all of your work. What is your process of listening to community and aligning the work that you're doing when you're engaging in a project or when you're educating?
Yeah, I mean, I think it really comes down to the listening portion of, and sometimes that is just like the one-on-one. I think Luna even came about is because I saw a need, and then I just had a conversation with my co-founder who, because I had been only living in Milwaukee a year when we started Luna, and so I kind of saw, hey, there's, it seems to me that there is a lack of representation, specifically with Latinx artists, in certain areas that I was getting involved in the art community. So kind of asked my co-founder, Gabriela Riveros, and she was like, yeah, there really isn't a group that is formed now. There have been in the past, but currently, yeah, like there is. This would help that problem. So, just talking with her, and then again, and for the first year of Luna and Why, it's always this discrepancy of like, when did we really start? Because our first show was in 2018, but we'd spent like an entire year just meeting together and listening to, I didn't want Luna to be what I wanted. Again, I had certain needs and wants just as a new person to Milwaukee, but I wanted to be sure that that Luna was really what everyone else wanted, and it continues to be. We'll continue to meet and reevaluate. Okay, where is this going? What do people need to help each and everyone's practice improve and grow?
That's great. Something that I've always also found notable too is just so much of the work becomes like very project based, right? Like here's this mural at the courthouse that you were talking about. So thinking about projects, what would if money and barriers were not an issue right now, what would a dream project be for you?
Yeah, so I think this is kind of a tough question, but I think I would just love like a multi-year project where I can really be rooted in a community or neighborhood and working with people to figure out what we want instead of like working backwards, like this is the end product and this is how we get there. I think so often, both with community engagement projects or art grants for arts, or grants for artists, so you have to know what the end product is, and that sort of doesn't allow for a lot of imagination or creativity or real collaboration. I just would love some of these grants to be like, we want you to do a project and talk about your process versus the product, and especially where when I teach, I've taught a few classes where students are working with community, and I always tell them, don't make art at people, make art with people. And I would love, just to be really ingrained in a community, to work side by side, and to have that listening process, and to have the project be focused on the process and community building versus you have to make a mural at the end of 5 months, or you have to make a sculpture, or you have to, I don't know, whatever, insert any end goal.
Right. It's like devising a theater piece too, right?
Exactly.
And sometimes that product then becomes so much more special,
right.
because it is so rooted in that listening and that imaginative creativity.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your work with everyone. How can the folks that are listening engage and support Luna or any of your other work that you are doing in the community right now?
Sure. Yeah. I feel like all of my work is very, is found on Instagram. I manage multiple accounts. So I manage, so Luna is Luna MKE official on Instagram. We have a website too, lunamke.com, but you can find everything, or email us, or DM us on Instagram. Again, that's Luna MKE official. Of course, my Instagram handle is I'm Katie Avila, where you can find the links to Herd Space and Milwaukee Action Intersection, and I'm always sharing the other things that I didn't mention as well. So I'm really involved in lots of really amazing other projects too that I'm not leading, that are worthwhile to check out. And I guess that I'll just make that final plug of something that I didn't mention was I'm working on the This is Milwaukee project, which is which is spearheaded by Mary Louise Schumacher and Kevin Miyazaki, who are asking people about what democracy means to them, and it's been a portrait interview project. And we just came out with our the publication of it, and you can find, actually, well, now that you're not at the rep downtown, but if you ever go down there, there's a box at City Hall where you can pick up a location, but they're all over the place, so you can find those.
Great, thanks. One last question to close out our conversation today. If you had one wish for Milwaukee, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I just want, people to continue to figure out how to work together. I think Milwaukee is not a small city, although sometimes we operate as one. And but there's just so many people that aren't working together that should, that I'm always surprised that when I'm making connections, but we just need to all be better connectors and continue to not be competitive with one another, whether it's in the arts or in even the activism and protest scene. There feels some competition going on, and we just need to let our egos go and our competitiveness go, let that go to the wayside, and really come together as a community to work to see the Milwaukee we want to see. I think there's a lot of amazing people who are doing amazing work, who want Milwaukee to be a better and greater city, but we really need to figure out how we can, let go of our hangups and come together and work together and help each other also grow. It's not that we don't need to. I'm always down for critique, and the only way we can grow is if we critique one another, but we still need to come together. And I hope that Milwaukee continues to find ways to come together and work with one another.
Thank you so much, Katie. Thank you for your time and all the work that you are doing to create positive change in Milwaukee. We really appreciate you.
Thank you.